Hello, everybody. My name is Jose Sepulveda. I am a reporter producer here at NBC6. Today, we're talking about unemployment and the economy. So, as you may know, federal unemployment benefits expired on Monday. They were put in place due to the coronavirus, and they have just expired just as the Delta variant is raging through the US and made August the deadliest month in Florida's pandemic history. So today with us, we have Hakan Yilmazkuday. He's a professor at FIU for economics. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Jose.
Um, you've done some research about COVID and the economy. Can you tell us a little bit about what some of the conclusions that you've come to from your research have been?
Yeah, as an economist, I have focused on the economic side of COVID-19, the pandemic, as well as what's going on the COVID-19 health-related issues. So, during the times that we started staying at home, of course, the basic question that I wanted to ask was whether or not staying at home makes sense in terms of reducing the COVID-19 spread. So I wrote a paper on it, and then scientifically I showed that yes, staying at home significantly reduces the spread of COVID-19, not only for the United States, but around the world by using the Google mobility data. As you may know, Google has made such data sets available by checking the location of your cell phones. Google is collecting data regarding which people are staying at home, which people are traveling. So based on such data, I have shown that at the beginning of the pandemic, staying at home has saved a lot of lives. On top of that, maybe reduced traveling has also contributed to the reduction in the spread of COVID-19. That's another research that I have in my portfolio. And then I continued focusing on the welfare effects of COVID-19 in terms of the economic income, in terms of economic wealth. I have shown that many people have been affected in different ways. For instance, if you have a look at high-income people, they have been affected differently compared to low-income people. Why is it the case? Because low-income people, they practically try to consume whatever they earn today in terms of the amount of money that they make. But high-income people, on the other hand, maybe they have some accumulated wealth, meaning that they can use such wealth for a certain amount of time without having any income troubles. So based on these inequalities, I have made a lot of welfare investigation, and I have shown that even social distancing has been different for different income levels, which has been an important finding that I have in my research, suggesting that if you are a low-income person, potentially you have to go back to work. You have to be physically in your workplace, which tells me that you are more subject to getting COVID-19 virus, which is going to be problematic on the low-income people side. So, these are practically the research that I have done. I have many more research. If people are going to be interested, they can always check my webpage for further details. I cannot hear you, Jose. Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. Can you briefly tell us what the unemployment benefits did and why they expired?
Okay, so the unemployment benefits were very essential for people who are making income and spending that income on a daily basis. So, for instance, if you are earning today and spending today or at most tomorrow, it means that whenever you are unemployed, you are going to be subject to a lot of cash constraints, meaning that such people have benefited a lot out of these government programs. So that is on the individual side. What about the overall economy? How the overall economy has been affected by these policies? The overall economy has also been affected in a positive way in the context of people spending enough amount of money, so businesses are having less trouble, meaning that they could stay open, meaning that the economy could continue working in a normal way, which has been good for the overall economy on the business side.
So, Florida actually stopped those extra $300 in June, right? And so, how has that affected the labor market here in Florida? Has it seen the benefits in terms of job unemployment numbers go down? Has it sort of ticked down? What has been the impact for Florida?
So I have been following the trends in the employment or unemployment market, and then I have figured out that the trend has not been affected at all. Meaning that after the benefits have been cut starting from June, the regular trends in the economy in terms of the employment levels have continued in their trend level. Meaning that reducing the amount of money paid by the government programs have not affected our labor market too much in the state of Florida, meaning that maybe we did a good job in terms of ending them so that people could go back to the labor market, searching for jobs subject to their skill levels, so that our economy is going to work one more time. So why is this important, by the way? Why do you think that, why do we think that such government programs should end at some point? The problem here is all governments, like any other of us, like any other agency, they are subject to their own income constraints, their budget constraints, meaning that they are collecting taxes, which is their income. And if the economy is not working properly, of course, they are not going to have enough income, which means that they cannot continue with these programs forever. From that perspective, they have to end these programs at some point. And in the long run, there is another issue here. The long run issue is that if the governments do not have enough taxes collected, it means that they must be borrowing from the markets. If they are borrowing today, it means that they have to pay it back tomorrow, which means that in the long run, all of us, we will be paying higher taxes just to make sure that we can cover the costs of these government programs. So at some point, we have to end these programs, and there is no good optimal time for it. I think once we are back to the normal statistics in terms of our employment and GDP levels, I think it is a good time to end. And this is exactly what our government has done. For instance, have a look at Florida. The employment levels are back to the levels of the pre-COVID-19 period, meaning that if you just have a look at the beginning of 2020, we are at the very same employment level as of today, meaning that we have recovered. But is the recovery the same for all individuals? Of course not. I'm first of all here talking about the overall macroeconomy. Of course, each person has been affected differently. Each sector has been affected differently. But the overall macro unemployment/employment levels are back to normal now.
So, obviously there's two sides to this argument, right? You have the people that are saying that this is a good thing, that these benefits are expiring because it's depressing the economic outgrow. Companies can't get workers. But then you also have people that are saying that this is a bad thing because by letting these benefits expire, you're also depressing the economy. How do both sides sort of justify their points of view?
So a very good question. Again, I think this question goes back to who is benefiting from these programs. As I said, low-income individuals as well as businesses who were about to shut down because of the COVID-19. Of course, they benefited a lot. So if you are subject to a financial problem at the beginning of COVID, you have the most potential problem during the COVID. For such individuals and such businesses, these programs have been very essential. But on the other hand, there are other businesses who have been doing great. Look at the stock market. We had a month or 2 months of a reduction in all stock prices, but then after the May of 2020, we started having record stock prices in our economy, meaning that maybe low-income people, they suffered a lot, which means that these programs were very essential for them. But high-income or maybe middle-income people, they were not in such problems during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm talking about the average person here, of course. Every one of us can have a different story. But high-income people may even have higher wealth during this COVID-19 pandemic. Why? Because maybe they have invested their money in the financial system, which brought a lot of rate of return if you have enough amount of wealth at the beginning of COVID-19. So it depends from which perspective you are having a look at the picture.
So we have seen, many big companies make record profits and many small businesses closing. So it kind of sort of parallels what's happening with individuals as well. We've seen a lot of companies also raise their wages, add extra benefits to sort of try to lure in workers because there's record numbers of jobs and lots of people that are still unemployed.
Exactly.
Do you see this as a good thing long term for these companies who made these record profits to try to bring up their pay raises and wages up to try to lure more people back in?
So, observing these higher wages is because of one particular reason. And the reason is that these companies cannot find workers who would like to work on the ongoing wage rate. So why is it the case? Because, we are talking about a lot of unemployed people, but at the same time, there are a lot of positions in our economy. So how come we have two of these sides, bringing us these conflicting statistics? The answer is simple. There is a mismatch in terms of the skill levels of people versus the skill levels required by the employers. Say that, have a look at different sectors, just like hospitality in our state of Florida. We have lost a lot of jobs in the sector of hospitality. But if I am unemployed in this sector, and if I would like to go back to the labor market and find a job for myself, the only available jobs in our state are maybe in manufacturing, retailing, and transportation. So are my skills good enough to go back and work in these sectors as a person who is unemployed from the hospitality sector? Well, these are the important details that we should think of. So this is the biggest dilemma nowadays in our Department of Labor, at the federal level or at the state level. These guys nowadays, these policymakers, they are going to have a match between the workers and the employers in terms of they are trying to make sure that your skill level is good enough so that you will have a match with the employers who are searching for certain skills in their employees. So this is exactly what our Department of Labor is trying to achieve nowadays by providing more skills through certain educations so that people are going to go back to the labor market and find a job according to their skill level.
So the holidays are coming up, and usually there's a huge influx of jobs coming into the market to try to fill that need for the holidays. Do you see that holiday surge happening this year? Do you think that it'll hamper some of the economic progress that we've been making since things have sort of been opening up?
Yeah, very good question. In fact, the holiday season is supposed to bring even more pressure to the labor market, meaning that the companies are having a problem in terms of finding the corresponding type of workers in their companies. But if we are talking about additional amount of people who they would like to hire, then they will have even more problems. So I expect to have jumps in our wage rates during the holiday season. But I think a better question is which sectors are going to employ more, right? Is it going to be the retail sector as in the past, or is it going to be the transportation sector? Because why? We are making more and more online shopping nowadays, and companies such as FedEx, UPS, USPS, they are hiring all over the place nowadays just to make sure that during the holiday season they will have enough employees to deliver packages. So from that perspective, I have been following on the news that yes, these companies are hiring. So I think these are the companies that will help the labor market a lot during the holiday season.
And so, what can people do now that these benefits have expired,
Yeah.
and they may be fearful of going back into the workplace because of the coronavirus, or finding it difficult to find childcare? And now that these extended benefits now that these benefits are no longer available to them, what can people do?
Okay, so a couple of things. First of all, if we are talking about the amount of rent that they cannot pay anymore, there is still rental assistance that is provided by the federal government as well as local governments like our state or the counties. Even the city level help or assistance is provided for the rental losses. So that is one thing that they can do. They can go ahead and search for the rental assistance and at least get some help regarding their rents. But in terms of getting rid of the cash constraints, I think the best strategy these people have is to go back to the labor market and find a job with respect to their skill. So if such jobs are not available, the second best approach that they can have is to go ahead and improve their skill level in terms of getting involved in the education programs in the Department of Labor, or if they have enough funding opportunities, they can do it themselves. My suggestion would be to go back to improve their skills so that they will be prepared more to the forthcoming potential labor opportunities or working opportunities.
And do you see, now that these benefits have expired, do you see that sort of mass influx of people going back into jobs that they may not necessarily want, or do you see more evictions and homelessness coming because of it?
So that, evictions is partly related to that rental assistance. If people can continue getting the assistance from the government, I think they will still be in good shape in terms of the evictions or homelessness. But in terms of going back to the market, I think it is something personal as a decision to make. I mean, are you still concerned about COVID-19? Are you still concerned about childcare if you go back to work? So these are the individual concerns that people have. And as long as you have enough skills to go back to the labor market, I think such people will go back to the labor market and hopefully find the corresponding jobs. And I think the government is also trying to do their best in order to make this happen.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you feel is important for us to know before we let you go?
So yeah, one thing that I can mention is if people are not finding jobs with respect to their skill levels, if the concern is COVID-19 and health-related concerns, I think getting vaccinated would help these individuals a lot in terms of at least getting one concern out of the picture. Other concerns, as unfortunately, are going to still remain on the table, but I would say one step at a time.
Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jose, for having me.
You have a great day.
Yeah.
Bye.